Alright, and here we are. This is going to be day one of prepping for the Milwaukee Regionals, because that is the other regional that I have confirmed I'm going to be going to. So this team probably looks very familiar because it is. Milwaukee will most likely... I'll need to double check. I suspect it's going to be Regulation I. I just haven't gone and looked it up. But Regulation I was announced today, and that is a continuation of Scarlet and Violet Regulation G? H? Good question. Anyway, it's a continuation of the single restricted regulation, but an expansion of that into a dual restricted. So, as you can see, I've got Kali, Shadow Rider, and Groudon on this particular team. And at the moment, well, we're not finding anybody, so we'll try it again. But right now, my goal is to see if I can find someone who is also playing Regulation I. Using the in-game cartridge, generally speaking, if you find somebody, they're going to be on the casual ladder until the ranked ladder changes over. And, oh, looks like we do have someone. Hello, John. All right. Good game, John. Let's go. And John is running a single restricted here, but still should give a great opportunity to see how our team matches up into what John is playing. So, with that in mind, looking at John's team, I think I'm going to run the Weezing, as I think the Weezing is a good option here. I think I want to run the Groudon. Yeah, I think, well, I'm not really sure. So Groudon in this particular match is meant largely to take care of issues like, well, it's got safety goggles. I wanted it mostly for Amoonguss, and that particular slot is the one that I'm going to be working the most to try and figure out what I'm using. So I think we're actually going to lead with Weezing and Urshifu, and bring Calyrex and I think Ogerpon in the back, and we'll see how that goes. So Groudon in this case, I can see it bringing good things to the table. I can also see it not, depending on how the Kyogre is trained, because it would work out for us if we had weather, but with Weezing on the field, we won't necessarily have weather. So whether or not to bring the Groudon is going to be the big question. Okay, so this was kind of the start that I was, I guess, looking for. Interestingly, I think we're going to go for a Poison Gas here and just put a close combat into the Ogerpon, because Sturdy is not active, courtesy of the neutralizing gas from the Weezing. Alright, so we'll see how that goes. With the Choice Scarf, the Urshifu is definitely the fastest thing on the field. And in the event that we do get the knockout, and I don't particularly... there we go! Bop! Super effective. Bye-bye, Ogerpon. Thank you very much. So in the event that we do not want to put a close combat into whatever I see in the back, or if they get up a Trick Room, which it looks like they are going for Trick Room at the moment, so there's Poison into the Farigiraf. That's great. Yep, there's their Trick Room. We're going to swap out the Urshifu, as there might be some benefit into preserving him for later, as well as clearing the defense drops. And Ogerpon in this case is definitely the candidate to get in. I suspect we're going to see Sunny Boom. Sunny Boom. Who is... Oh, that's what Sunny Boom is. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, so Weezing, I definitely want him to just protect this turn. And let's get Ogerpon in here. Okay. So yeah, the Trick Room is, of course, a very solid option there. So now the goal is going to be stalling out the Trick Room and deciding what the best way of doing that is going to be. Okay, Torkoal is, it looks like, going Terra Fire to get maximum damage, which makes sense. Yep. So this is most likely either a Charcoal or Choice Specs variant on said Torkoal. Ogerpon can probably take the hit due to the lack of sun. I think this might be a game for going, yep, here's an Eruption, which is going to be painful. Like, there's really no two ways about it. Eruption is a very, very strong move when backed with the Terra Fire and everything else going on. Okay, Ogerpon tanks that very nicely. Very, very nicely. Okay. So, in this case, the game plan is definitely, we're going to go with the Terra Dragon on the Weezing, because that will allow us to take... Yeah, that's going to let Weezing take that eruption very comfortably. And I think we're going to stall out a turn with the Spiky Shield on the Ogerpon, because then after Weezing tanks the hits the Torkoal, it'll reduce the overall damage coming out of the eruption, and then most likely the turn after that, again, Ogerpon should be able to comfortably tank the hit from the eruption, and then be able to finish off the Torkoal with an Ivy Cudgel next turn, after we've gotten a little bit of health reduction on the Torkoal, courtesy of the Sludge Bomb from the Weezing. So that's kind of the thought process for the play here. Big thing, of course, is maintaining that neutralizing gas, because that is what is keeping that eruption from just being absolutely devastating. Nice, got a solid 50%, or arguably better than that. Okay, yep, so it's time for our good friend Weezing to go back to protecting. And it's time to pass that baton over to Ogerpon for looking to clean out, let the leftovers heal us up a little bit. Ivy Cudgel into the Torkoal. That should remove that particular threat. Torkoal's still one of the best Trick Room sweepers in the game. Like, even in a restricted format, it just does the damage. And it's extremely slow, so if you can get a Trick Room set up around it, it does all sorts of good things. Okay. Well, they're thinking very, very carefully about what they want to do. Yep, there's the Protect on the Weezing. And just, again, need to get a little bit of health back. Okay, they're going for another Eruption. It's still a very solid move. But with their health being dropped by half, that will make it so that Ogerpon will tank that very comfortably. And we'll see, yep, the Psychic again into the Weezing. So that Protect was well placed. Here comes the Ivy Cudgel, which will be super effective. And since there's no Sunny Day, that is going to finish out the Torkoal very good. Alright, so we're most likely going to see their last Pokemon here as they go into, I suspect, Kyogre to finish out the game. Weezing is probably not going to be able to actually take a full-on Water Spout from the Kyogre, if that's the direction that it chooses to go. If it goes with an Ice Beam, it definitely won't be able to take it. That's... Oh no, Snorlax. Okay, that was unexpected. I guess Snorlax does make for a very good... Snorlax does make also for a very good Trick Room Sweeper, and also a good counter to the Cali Shadow that they are most likely expecting me to have in the back. So this turn, it's time to protect the Ogerpon. Let's see if we can get a burn off onto the Snorlax. If we can, cool. So much the better. If we can't, no worries. Is sometimes how the game goes. We're doing a good job with getting the Trick Room stalled out here. They went with a Fire Punch. Oh yeah, I could see that. It would stack with the Sunny Day. Snorlax gets hurt as a result of the Spiky Shield. Will-O-Wisp comes out. That will cut the damage coming out of that Snorlax fairly significantly. There we go. Okay, Farigiraf coming out with the Psychic. Weezing survives the hit. Again, just continuing that slow heal up as a result of the leftovers. Slowly, slowly, slowly removing the health of that Farigiraf and just stalling his health down. Okay, Twisted Dimensions return to normal, so the goal for this particular turn is to make it so that they cannot set up another Trick Room. So we're going to need to remove the Farigiraf from the field, hence the doubling up into it. And if they read that, go for the Protect, and knock out one of the Pokemon, that's entirely fine, because then it frees up Urshifu coming back in. Okay, we got the knockout on the Farigiraf, so there will be no more Trick Room this game. And here is the Sludge Bomb. Does a little damage. The chip damage matters. Oof. Oh. After that burn, well, that burn mattered a lot. So that drops the Snorlax's speed. And at this point, it's really just a game of doubling up into the Snorlax until we remove it from the field, and that'll be game. In the event that they do make it through one of my Pokemon here, let me just go into Urshifu, click Close Combat. But there's the surrender, and that is game. Thank you very much, John. And that is day one of prepping for the Milwaukee Regionals. Have a great day. Hope to see you next time.